I thought I was planning the sweetest birthday surprise for my husband. Then I saw what he was really doing every morning. My heart shattered, and I got it all on video. I wanted to do something special for his birthday, something that showed I really saw him, loved him, knew what mattered to him. My husband has this morning routine he's religious about. He gets up before the sun, straps on his running shoes, and takes our golden retriever Max out for a jog. Rain, snow, blazing heat. He never misses it. Says it's his mental reset. For years, I thought it was beautiful, almost poetic. My husband chasing clarity while the world was still asleep. So for his birthday this year, I came up with an idea. I was going to recreate his favorite running route. The whole thing, printed maps, photos of key spots, even tiny tokens that reflected the route's little joys. That little bodega he always stops at, the park bench near the pond. I wanted to walk that trail in his shoes, feel what he felt. Wrap it all in a handmade scrapbook. Silly maybe, but heartfelt. Only I didn't know the route. That's when the idea hit me. Maximum. Max always goes with him. And since I was already shopping for birthday gifts, I bought a fancy new collar, one of those with a hidden GoPro built in. Not to spy, not really, just to capture his runs without him knowing, so it'd be a true surprise. That's all it was meant to be. A secret sweet thing. I remember the day the package came. I ripped it open like a kid on Christmas morning. I charged it up, clipped it onto Max's collar before bed, and felt this little flutter of excitement as I drifted off. Like I was planning a treasure hunt. The next morning, as always, he kissed me on the forehead, whispered, "Back in an hour," and slipped out into the dawn with Max trotting beside him. I waited. Then when he got back, sweaty and flushed, I pretended nothing was different. Kissed him on the cheek, handed him his post-run smoothie. Inside, my heart was bouncing off the walls. As soon as he went to shower, I grabbed the collar, downloaded the footage, and hit play. It started normal enough. Sidewalk, the neighborhood trees, the bounce of Max's trot. A squirrel darted across the street and Max tugged toward it, like always. I even laughed watching it, already picturing how I'd frame it in the scrapbook. But about 5 minutes in, the footage got strange. They weren't heading toward the park like usual. They took a turn I didn't recognize. Then another. Then they stopped. I paused the video. The camera was angled awkwardly, bobbing with Max's breath. But it was clear. My husband wasn't jogging. He was standing in a parking lot, alone. I hit play again. Seconds later, someone else walked into frame. A woman. Tall, tan trench coat, black boots. Her hair pulled into a sleek ponytail I'd know anywhere. I felt the blood drain from my face. Alyssa from my office. My biggest professional headache, and if I'm being honest, my personal nemesis. The one who's always a little too friendly, a little too flirty, a little too fake. She's the type who giggles in meetings at dumb jokes just to get ahead. The one who rolled her eyes when I got promoted last year. She once told me I looked so refreshed after I came back from a funeral. I hated her, and now she was here, with my husband, smiling. I watched, frozen as they talked. I couldn't hear the audio, but their body language said enough. She touched his arm. He leaned in. At one point, she laughed and brushed hair from his face, like they'd done it 1,000 times before. Then he looked around, checking, like he was making sure no one could see, except someone could. Maximum, my sweet, innocent dog who just wanted to chase squirrels. The footage ended with them walking off together, side by side toward the trees behind the lot. Max followed, his tail wagging. I sat there staring at the screen, the collar still warm in my hand. I didn't cry, not yet. My body just shut down. Like my heart had flipped a switch and turned the lights off. I replayed it again, slower this time, frame by frame, looking for clues, looking for a way to tell myself I was wrong. But I wasn't wrong. He wasn't running. He was meeting her. And suddenly, all those mornings he came back, drenched in sweat and glowing with endorphins, didn't feel poetic anymore. They felt like betrayal. I shut my laptop and sat there in silence. Max curled up at my feet, completely unaware that his morning adventure had just shattered my world. And the worst part? It wasn't just that he lied. It was who he lied with. The one person I would never, ever forgive. And now I had to figure out what the hell to do with this truth. Do I confront him? Pretend I don't know? Wait for more evidence? Or do I let him walk through that door tomorrow morning and ask him how his run went, knowing full well exactly where he was? Because this wasn't just about cheating. This was war. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I lay in bed next to him, this man I've shared a life with for 10 years. And all I could think about was that parking lot, that trench coat, that hand on his face, her. I studied every line of his body under the sheets, trying to reconcile the man snoring softly beside me with the one who lied so easily, who smiled at her like she was something sacred. He stirred once, whispered my name like he'd done 1,000 times before. I pretended to be asleep. I couldn't bear to hear his voice. By morning, I had dark circles under my eyes and a smile stretched so tight across my face it hurt. "Morning," he said, yawning. "You look tired." "Didn't sleep well," I mumbled, trying to keep my voice steady. "Weird dreams." He kissed my cheek, made his usual coffee, packed up his gear, and left for his run. I clipped the camera to Max's collar again. This time, I didn't even pretend it was for a gift. This time, I was hunting the truth. When they returned, I waited until he was in the shower. My hands shook as I connected the camera to my laptop, heart pounding in my throat like a war drum. Same route, same parking lot, same woman. But this time, it went further. They didn't just walk into the woods. They stopped just inside the tree line, right where the camera could still catch pieces of them between the branches. It wasn't great footage, but it didn't have to be, because I saw it, his hands on her waist, her mouth on his, and the way she laughed, and this sharp, breathy sound I've heard echo off the office walls when she's trying to impress some executive. But now she was laughing for him, and he was eating it up. They kissed like teenagers. She tugged at his shirt. He didn't stop her. I paused the video, sat back, and let the nausea wash over me. This wasn't a fling. It wasn't some stupid one-time mistake. They had a routine. They had a place, and it had been happening right under my nose. At some point, Max got distracted by a squirrel again, and the camera jolted away. But the damage was done. I'd seen enough. My stomach twisted in on itself. I closed the laptop and stared out the window. I wanted to scream, cry, shatter every glass in the kitchen just to feel something sharp. But nothing came. Instead, I sat there in that silence, the kind that feels like it could drown you. Because now it wasn't just a suspicion, it was real. My husband was cheating on me, with a woman who once laughed at my presentation slides during a company retreat, who called me intense behind my back and ambitious, like it was an insult, who told my friend at work that I try too hard. And now she had him. Or maybe she always did. The worst part? I still didn't know what to do. I wanted to storm into the bathroom and throw the footage in his face, demand answers, make him squirm. But part of me hesitated. What if I needed more? What if he denied it anyway? What if, God help me, I wasn't ready to let go? So I waited for the next morning, waited for one more run, one more day to collect my strength, and the whole time I played the role. The loving wife, the loyal partner, the woman who didn't know that everything she'd built was rotting beneath her. I made dinner, I folded his laundry, I laughed at his dumb story about someone at the gym. All the while I watched him, watched them in my mind, behind that curtain of trees, and I planned. Because if he wanted to sneak around, I was going to give him the performance of a lifetime. He had no idea who he was messing with. The next morning, I told him Max was limping a little. Probably nothing, I said. Maybe a pulled muscle. Better let him rest today, I added casually while pouring his smoothie. My husband frowned. He'll be disappointed. He loves the trail. I smiled. He'll survive one day off. And just like that, he left for his run without Max. Perfect. As soon as I saw him round the corner, I grabbed my hoodie, pulled my hair into a low cap, and slipped out the back door. I took the car, looped around the neighborhood to avoid being seen, parked 3 blocks from the trailhead, and walked the rest on foot. I knew exactly where he was going now. That same parking lot behind the old community center. The one hidden just enough to feel private. The one with no cameras. The one I would have never thought twice about until now. I found a spot behind a row of overgrown hedges where I had a clear view, but couldn't be seen. My heart was beating so hard I thought it might give me away. And then I saw him. He was standing near that dented silver Civic, her car, dressed in his running gear, still carrying that water bottle he never actually drank from. He looked calm, too calm, like this was just another Tuesday for him. And then right on cue, Alyssa appeared. Black leggings, white tank top, hair pulled up, looking like every stereotype of the smug, pretty side chick who thinks she's smarter than the wife. She walked right up to him and didn't hesitate. She went in for a kiss, slow, familiar, practiced. And he didn't even flinch. I felt something inside me split. They talked for a bit. She touched his chest. He leaned into her like they were magnetized. They shared a laugh, then looked around once and disappeared into the trees. My knees gave out. I sank down behind the hedges, legs folded beneath me on the dirt path, cold seeping into my jeans. This wasn't speculation anymore. This wasn't suspicion. It was real. I stayed there a while, until I was sure they were gone, until my breath had slowed and I could stand without trembling. Then I walked back to the car, one foot in front of the other, like I was sleepwalking. At home, I moved on autopilot, made myself a breakfast I didn't eat, scrambled eggs, toast, coffee that went cold. I stared out the kitchen window, wondering how many times they'd met, how many times I'd kissed him after he kissed her. When he came home, I was already at the sink rinsing dishes. "Back already?" I asked, careful to keep my tone light. He grinned. "Yeah, didn't go the full route. Felt off without Max." I said. "Maybe he just didn't want a third wheel." He laughed, oblivious. "Maybe." That night, when he kissed my shoulder and curled up behind me like he always did, I didn't move. I just stared at the wall and thought about how easy it was for him to lie. I could have screamed, shouted, shoved the footage in his face and demanded the truth. But no. Now that I knew, I had something more powerful than anger. I had clarity. And he had no idea he was sleeping next to a woman who was done playing dumb. He thought he'd fooled me, but he forgot the one thing that would come back to bite him harder than any affair ever could. I don't break quietly. I didn't confront him right away. No explosive screaming match. No dishes flung across the room. No crying on the bathroom floor. Not because I wasn't dying inside, but because I wasn't going to let him control the narrative. He lied with such ease he deserved the slow burn of exposure. He deserved to feel it inching toward him, moment by moment. So I smiled. I laughed at his dumb jokes. I asked if he wanted extra chicken in his salad. I kept everything so normal that he never saw it coming. And while he slept soundly at night, while he dreamed with her perfume still clinging to his shirt, I worked. 3 nights in a row, I stayed up after he passed out, cross-legged on the floor with my laptop, organizing everything. The camera footage, the timestamps, the screenshots of texts he'd sent me while he was with her. "Crushing miles today," he'd texted me once. Meanwhile, the camera showed him sitting on a picnic blanket with Alyssa, feeding her orange slices like a goddamn romance novel. I compiled it all into a private folder labeled Running Files. Fitting, right? Then I started calling lawyers. I didn't want messy. I wanted clean, swift, surgical. I found one, female, sharp, fearless. She'd handled high-profile divorces with clients far wealthier and more manipulative than my soon-to-be ex. She didn't flinch at the footage. "Good documentation," she said. "You'll be just fine." God, those words were like oxygen. And then, it was time. Saturday morning, I told him we had brunch plans with 2 couples from my office. "Small thing," I said. "You've met them before." He groaned. "Do I have to?" "Just an hour," I replied sweetly. "Then you can do whatever you want." He agreed. We arrived at a little bistro downtown. Cozy, floral, filled with people clinking mimosas over croissants. What he didn't know was that while he sat there sipping overpriced coffee and bragging about a fake 10K, I excused myself to use the restroom and walked across the street, straight into my lawyer's office. 15 minutes later, I came back with a manila envelope in my bag. Inside, the signed divorce papers. He didn't even notice the shift in my expression when I sat back down. That night after dinner, I finally asked if we could talk. We sat on the couch, the same one we'd shopped for after moving in together, the same one where we once spent entire Sundays tangled in blankets and plans. It looked smaller now. I pulled out my phone and queued up the first video. Max's camera, that familiar parking lot, Alyssa stepping out of her car, and then the kiss. He watched in silence. His hand froze mid-air, halfway through scratching his neck. "What is this?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Oh, there's more," I said. "Different days, different angles, same lie." He swallowed hard. His eyes darted toward the door like he wanted to run. "I can explain." "I hope you can," I said, flipping open the manila envelope. "My lawyer would love to hear it." His face paled. "Wait, you got a lawyer?" "No," I said. "I got the lawyer, the one whose name makes grown men sign settlements without blinking." His voice cracked. "So you're really divorcing me?" "I already did. The papers are signed. We just need yours now." He opened his mouth again, but I kept going. "I've also sent the footage to HR. You and Alyssa might want to check your emails Monday morning. Something about workplace relationships and ethics violations." He stared at me like I'd just lit the house on fire. "We can fix this," he whispered. "We can go to therapy." "No," I said, standing. "You can go to therapy. I'm going to go to sleep. And tomorrow I'm going to start living like you never existed." He followed me down the hall, pleading now, begging. "I made a mistake," he said. "It didn't mean anything. I wasn't thinking." I turned to face him, and for once I let the rage surface. "Number you were thinking, every single time you kissed her, every time you lied to my face, every time you smiled at me like I was some dumb, clueless housewife. You thought I'd never find out. You thought I'd never fight back." He flinched like I'd slapped him. "Good." I closed the guest room door behind me, the lock clicking with the finality of a coffin lid. I slept better that night than I had in weeks. The next morning he was gone. No note, no text, just an empty drawer and his running shoes missing from the rack. Perfect. I took Max for a walk, a real walk, down the street, past the park, through the trees. The same trail, but this time I walked it with power in my stride. I stopped at the top of a hill and watched the sun rise, gold light pouring through the branches. Max trotted beside me, tail wagging, head high. He didn't know anything had changed, but everything had. Later that day, Alyssa's name disappeared from the company directory. Turns out, workplace affairs aren't great for upward mobility. Poetic justice, really. As for me, I didn't crumble, I rebuilt. And every step I take now is grounded in the truth I earned the hard way. Some men think their wives won't find out. Some men think silence means submission. But they forget, some of us aren't built to break. Some of us gather receipts, wear our heartbreak like armor, and walk away with the whole damn story. If you made it this far, thanks for riding with me. If you love real, messy, emotional stories like this, go ahead and hit subscribe. There's always another confession waiting in the back seat.